Welcome to Better Business Podcast. My name is Cliff. I am joined here by my lovely wife, Sydney. And today we are going to be talking about partnerships, the different kinds, and kind of a little dive into it, the little partnership series that deals with working with somebody else, communication, things like that. So, next few episodes will be kind of us talking about how we work together, but how other businesses could manage working together, what we suggest for working with other people, and the items like that. So,
Yeah, I was almost going to ask you to clarify because I was thinking, do you mean the sole proprietorship or LLC? Do you mean that kind of thing or what you meant by that? So I'm glad you clarified because obviously I don't read notes.
yeah, nope, that's fine. I'm writing for myself, so it works out for us, and it helps. You bring in these questions, and it helps us get some answers for everybody. But also, I mean, bringing up that right away, we have a sole proprietorship.
Mm-hmm.
And this is I'm not a tax advisor, we're not, but studying that, doing it for years that I did, a common way people get into business before purchasing an LLC is by starting with as themselves,
Mm-hmm.
doing whatever they're doing, and it evolves from there. Starts as a sole proprietorship as what you're considered,
Yeah.
and kind of what the code considers you to be. But it's all, I mean, unless you're kind of by yourself, I don't know really.
Well, I think it all varies depending on what your business is, and then also okay, um, what does your lawyer recommend or what does your accountant recommend?
Mhm.
Those are big concepts that need to be answered by those people.
Yes, because there is different situations where tax wise it is better to be um, a partnership or a corporation. And then legality wise, you mitigate your risk for stuff if you are a LLC or a company or something like that. So those are things to consider. But it is common that working with somebody else, you know, like us, we
Hmm.
people have one of them, one of the spouses on the tax return or something has an LLC, and it's under their kind of social security number when they do taxes.
Hmm.
So it looks like they're doing it by themselves, but most of the time it's a mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
It's just one of them has it under there, just that's how they set it up.
Might want to pause while our dog is rudely interrupting.
That's true.
He is very loud right now.
He's making his presence known.
Yes.
So he's definitely
I thought we were done there for a minute.
no.
Oh, okay. I think we're good. You can continue.
Okay.
Oh, just kidding.
And then he goes again. This is our last. Oh, and he's gonna run up here. He might use you as a napkin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Anyways,
get back on topic
so
talk about commonly mom and pop shops.
yeah, so commonly, they do start as one person has kind of the business under them, and but both people work for it.
Hmm.
Both spouses work for it, and I almost think that like no matter one spouse might want to be in business, the other one might not want anything to do with it. But I
Yeah.
almost always think it's gonna some way affect them, whether it be they both work on it, one person's time, or it is going to affect their tax returns. So like one person can say that's what they want to do, but if one person's in business, it's gonna affect both of them.
Yeah. I know one business owner we were talking to, he says his spouse is not a part of his business whatsoever. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
And but I do agree with you that it will trickle into her. Excuse me for a moment while I take a squeaky toy away. Out. I'm sorry, I had to take this duck away. Okay, I'm back.
All right. So yeah, and they in that predicament it is, that business owner the spouse is not involved in the day-to-day most and almost any part of the business. But what I think is, oh my gosh, this dog, um, she is affected by it.
Mhm.
And so the business is part of both of their lives. And I think that's something that is great to touch on. Like, I think you have to have your spouse be a part of whatever you're going to be starting. And that's just the like that. It seems like that's the basic partnership of any business there's going to be, is if your significant other is going to be involved or affected in some shape, way, or form.
Yeah. And I do think regardless what you take on, it is going to be affected. Because like I wasn't anticipating to be a part of our real estate at all. And then I realized I had to be a part of it. Because there are certain things that I know how to do. And then also with the way our credit was going, I had to become a part of it.
Yes, we had to make it go. Mine went shooting down and we had to get you part of it.
Yeah, because we still had to get things.
Yeah, we still had to. Otherwise, we would have been even worse. So we had to make you part of it. And that's something we didn't talk about, which I think is one of the main reasons I'm bringing up this point about the business. Like, no matter what you do, it's going to affect your significant other in your life.
Yeah.
So you have to have that conversation with them. You have to bring them in. And I mean, if they even don't want a part of it, you have they're like, I don't really want to be a part of it, but you have to communicate in some shape, way, or form how they're going to be a part of it, because they can say they're not gonna, but they're almost always going to be.
Yeah, because I think you were saying the same thing about my business, is you don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And now you're a huge part of the business.
Yeah, I'm head of the bookkeeping department we have,
Yeah.
and I took on the podcast and the YouTube, so
Yeah.
the editing and stuff like that. So at first I didn't want to be, and then we talked about it, we went through things, we discovered that like in order for it to become what we want it to, like I had to become part of your business as well and get into it. And we defined our lanes, which is another episode we'll talk about. Something else, be more in depth on that. But that is kind of what has to happen, is you might not think so, or your significant other might not think they're ever going to be a part of it, but I argue that they're going to be affected by it, so they might as well be a part of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And something we can't really relate to is having your kids be a part of it. I have no idea how to even go into that segment because we don't have kids. We have a dog, obviously. We heard him drinking water, playing with his toys. Yeah. So he is a part of our business, but he doesn't grasp the concept.
He's not doing anything for the operations of a business. And that, I mean, we did add that on here that I wanted to talk about it, but I think it is something to just note that we obviously don't have experience with that.
Yeah.
I have worked with people who have family in the business. That was one of my jobs. I'm not sure if you have. I can't remember if you had a mom with their kids, a mom and pop with their kids in the business, maybe a grandparent or something like that. Like any generational thing, or cousins, or
not that I was a big part of. The only person that I can think of having a business was in my family was a daughter, and the daughter hired the mom.
Okay.
And I wasn't a part of it, so I don't understand the dynamics or anything how it went into play. So I don't have a strong word in this.
I didn't have I should have clarified, I didn't have anybody in my family. I worked under somebody.
Okay, you worked under somebody. Okay.
So I did get to see that structure on how it works. I'm not sure if you have. I wasn't sure if like the donut place maybe. That's the only job I could think of for you, but
they were very quiet about their
operations and strategy. Okay.
They didn't talk much to the night crew, which I was the night crew. So I don't, and then majority of it was corporate. So I don't have experience in, small businesses talking about stuff. Now, I guess some of the equine facilities, they were mostly in business for themselves, and then they would have people be on their their children be on the property, which I'm assuming because of tax exempts.
Could be that.
But I don't have good answers, and they like one daughter didn't want to be a part of it at all. The other daughter was doing her own thing within the parents' business.
Now, was that something that you think was agreed upon, or do you think that was kind of something
I
they
think
she just did and
I
went
think
with
she
it?
just did it.
Okay.
I think the parents bought the business for her,
Okay.
but I can't, say that's truthful
Yeah,
or not.
you weren't there. Or
Yeah,
you weren't part of the organization of everything. So,
exactly.
but I do think it stems to talk about that, with mom and pop, you obviously, those two are going to work together and affect each other's lives. But that's something that I think there's definitely a difference when it comes to like you and me having a business together, running it together,
Mhm.
because our dreams are very intertwined,
Yes.
our why and our goals.
Yes.
But when we have kids and they get to the age that they work, they have their own dreams and goals, they're not going to be intertwined as much.
No,
And
they probably won't want to do what I want to do.
and that's perfectly fine. Like I mean,
Yeah.
I want them to do whatever they want to do, but if they want to do something with us, that comes down to a whole nother level of now we have what we're doing. How long are we going to do it for before it gets passed on to where they get to
Yeah.
take over what we have?
And that's another thing going into, sorry to interrupt you there, but I don't want to pass it down.
Mhm.
If they want it, they buy it. But that's my point of view as of, a married single dog person.
Yeah.
So
No kids, couple so
yeah,
far. Yeah.
exactly. But that's just my point of view as of where I'm sitting now.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, okay, 10 years that could change possibly, but I don't know. But I don't see, because that's something else in my mind is there's a lot of silver or gold spoon fed babies because they get this amazing business their parents worked hard on.
Yeah.
And then they just expect things to happen because the parents worked hard on it. And then once the parents passed away, they inherited the business. They treat it as it was as if mom and pop were still running it.
Yeah. Or mom and pop made it run so smoothly that when they come in, they think they need to change it all because they had to have their own legacy to it.
Yeah, which
And
is fine.
it is fine, but
But
if in the course of business,
if it hurts the employees who are making you the money, then you have an issue.
If it hurts in the business as a whole, then and there's no strategic growth. I mean, that's the biggest thing for working with kids, I think, is that I know it's a difficult subject for us because we don't have
We don't
experience
understand. Yeah.
and we don't have any personal experience on being on, underneath parents working for or having a kid, but like, that has to come down to communication. How is this going to get passed on? When does the kid become the one who takes over? And I mean, how do you be supportive? I know there's parents. One of my real estate mentors, his kid is like 11.
Oh my gosh.
And wanted his first birthday, he wanted vending machines.
No way.
Yeah. So his dad, so proud, bought I think like found a place that wanted vending machines, and so he's gonna buy one, and they wanted three.
Oh
So they got him
gosh.
3 vending machines, and his kid's like stocking them and everything,
That's
and he's
awesome.
doing whatever to support this kid. Obviously, he's 11, so the dad's obviously doing as much to support him, and the kid's going to be slowly getting into the age where he's going to make all the choices and everything. But right now, the dad's probably steering him as much as possible.
That makes sense.
I can see that for kids getting, taking over, getting steered in a way. But one of the things I wonder too is like when a kid, like if if I partnered with my dad on something, how that dynamic's gonna go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
Like,
common family style of business. You hear it all the time. Real estate, I'm sure there's other businesses too,
yeah.
where
The great example what would it be if both of us partnered with, say, both of your parents or Say or both of us partnered with both of my parents.
So now we have 4 people in total.
Yes.
So I have to divide up.
All have different minds.
Yeah. So now you have to, and it's kind of an issue with bigger businesses, obviously, because there's millions of people who work for them potentially, but like the directors and how slow it has to pass down each line of chain to get chains. And obviously, the more people you add to this ownership, the more you're going to have to discuss. And if you split it evenly, I mean, 25, 25, 25, 25, you have to get 3 people to agree to something, at least to get something to change, to make a decision happen. And I don't know if it's right to do somebody gets 26, somebody gets 24. I mean,
yeah, but that one person is still going to have their own mind.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to go down this rabbit hole, but like, what if one person was like, oh, I want to rent to my best friend. And the other person is like, okay, I want to rent at this price. And then another person was like, I was just going to Airbnb it out.
Yeah.
And then another person was just like, I'm lost. Please help.
And that's totally, I 100% believe that's what happens. And you have to go through this communication line. You have to sit down and have this conversation.
So how would you start this conversation? Like, I guess we should, like, I know our topic is about partnership, but I guess this goes within the partnership in a way. How would you communicate to start the process of all 4 sitting down together?
All right. Well, I guess are we doing real estate or like a production? What do you think? Just so I know different.
Let's go a production. We're making
widgets.
Okay,
It's
widgets.
A very common.
Is it an
accounting term? No, it's.
What? I was gonna say aprons or.
We're making aprons.
Okay.
All right, so we're making aprons. So you and I are, first of all, we're one household. We're a spouse. We're married.
Mm-hmm.
I would start that conversation with you.
Okay.
I want to make sure, I think of this idea. I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm like, hey, I woke up today. We're making aprons in my mind. Would you be okay with making aprons? Like, this business is what we're doing. I want to make aprons with you. Would you be fine with that? And you're like, yeah, I want to. That sounds cool. The apron game's awesome. I want to put some stitching on it, but like, we need money and we need someone who knows how to make aprons. Okay, well, my parents have some money set aside. They have some equity built. My mom made aprons before, so how about maybe we ask them, would you be okay with working with my parents? They're like, yeah, I would be okay working with my parents, with A, B, and C happening. I want to make sure that we split all the profits. I want to make sure that we don't take any money out of the business for 6 months, and I want to make sure that any decisions are made amicably amongst at least us. I guess 2 of us make that, and I want to make the decisions, but I want them to be kind of part of it. In our household, you and me are going to decide where where the materials come from, things like that. We need them mostly for experience and experience in design and making it, and then in money, and we can take over the rest. All right, that's fair. We're going to be doing a lot of work, and we just need kind of them to help us set up right in the beginning. So we go to them, and I say, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, we have this idea. We want to make aprons. We have a terrific idea. We have a supplier we have in mind. We have a price. We kind of have a demographic. But we did our homework. I think that's a big step before we go on to outside of us. Is we have homework done that we did. So when we approach them, we're not doing the ooh and ah scenario. As I say, So then we talk to them and we say, we need the money. We know you have equity. And we know you have a design. You did this before. We want to know what your opinion is. What makes the best tie knots, what makes it sturdy and durable, quality. And what do people look for when they buy an apron? We need your expertise on that. we're going to be taking over the day-to-day, but we need you for these items. We would love to partner with you and bring you into this business. And we split the profits 4 ways. We each get the profits but we're not going to take any profits out for 6 months. And then we want the decisions to be made by us for when it comes to the day-to-day operations. And it becomes a contract at this point. They're going to say yay, nay, yes, no to this.
And would you write up a contract for this instead of just having it verbally?
Now, when you make a business like this is probably going to be more of a S corp or partnership. Those are kind of the 2 options for multiple people in a business.
Okay.
That is actually going to be part of what is required for you to make to do these businesses.
Okay.
When you approach a bank, they're going to want an operating agreement and partnership agreement is what it's called. And this kind of just defines the rules.
Okay.
Mom, she has experience in aprons, so she's going to come and she's going to design it, and she's going to tell us quality, where to put things, what, the pockets and everything like that. That's great. Well, Dad's going to come with some money, and he's going to come with expertise in
Sales.
Yeah. So he can call and he can do some stuff. So he's going to also be operating, and then you and I are going to be doing day-to-day, so bookkeeping and this and ordering and hiring, firing. So we have that all written out on a partnership agreement. And we don't have anything started this business yet. We don't have anything going, but this kind of lays that foundation of what the partnership's going to be. And I mean, a lot of this decision making, like we said those things, that those contingent items for us. But when you get into the agreement, there's always a part that says, like, how do decisions be made? Well, let's say you and I have 25.5% each, which means that if you and I vote on something, we have 51%. So that's all we need to vote. Now, if my parents had something, they would need one of us to also vote. Or if there was one kid and one parent, you would need a third person to vote for it. If we split it up like that.
So how would you say that scenario happened? Where would you find that third person?
That becomes part of the conversation for agreements that have to be made and decisions that have to be made.
Okay.
There has to be a majority rule. And if one parent's 49.5 and one kid's 20 or 50, oh wait, no, it would be 24.5, and then one kid's 25.5, that's 50%. So it'd have to have a third. So
Gotcha.
I know that's how some go. And then I've seen and heard that other people's agreements, that there's only 2 parties, they flip a coin. That's how decisions are made.
Interesting.
They agree upon the coin and they flip it.
That's funny.
That's how they solve some of their differences and decisions. And that's written in the agreement. So anytime a decision has to be made, they can't be mad at each other because it's agreed upon previously.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And another thing I've heard is, like, you need to make an exit clause.
Okay.
I've heard 2 different things. Is if one person wants out, there has to be a notice, an advance notice.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be like a decision, that's made that when they want out, this is how they can get out. They can either sell you their shares right away before they go to another person. And then another one was, oh man, it was actually kind of funny. I'll have to try to remember. It was right there and then I forgot it.
Okay, when that happens.
But we want to make an exit agreement. Oh, what it was you agree that the business dissolves after a certain amount of time. So we're making aprons. We have a 5-year plan. At 5.5 years, this business dissolves, unless agreed upon by everybody, by all 4 parties, that this business keeps going.
Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that, but that's interesting.
So this would be great for if you do small business, like maybe it is the apron thing, and we say we want to try this for 2 years.
Gotcha.
So then after 2 years, if you and I are like,
which makes sense. That's when a lot of people.
Yeah, small businesses. I mean, I think Small businesses usually fail within the first year,
Yeah.
and if they make it past that, they usually fail within 5 years.
Hmm.
So I mean that's a decent time frame.
Yeah.
But
I
this
would
would
say
be
it'd be two, depending on what kind of business you're talking about, but that's down a different rabbit hole there.
totally down a different rabbit hole. But this is just an example of what people can do. Like, we're like making aprons, but we're like, I'm sick of working with mom and dad. They're always here. I thought I was
I
gonna
guess.
get away.
Okay, when you put it in that perspective.
And then after 2 years, you're like, we made a successful business. Let's sell it to somebody because we already
Okay.
agreed upon getting rid of this business.
Okay.
So that's kind of where that comes into play.
Gotcha. Cool.
Um,
What other topics,
I think
since you're our note person?
a note person here, I think another thing people can consider partnerships would be like working with investors.
Okay.
This is very common in real estate. And what happens is it's more of like a silent partnership. That's kind of what people hear as a silent partner. But they just come in and bring money. That's what I want you to
Yeah,
do.
a
I
silent
have the
partner.
idea. I have the ability to work. I just don't have the money to do this.
Yeah, I hear that actually a lot. Yeah.
So like it's great because the silent partner, like if for instance, let's say it's us and we have 50 grand,
Hmm.
we want to make more money, but like at the same time, we're working 70 hours a week.
Hmm.
And we're doing that for a few years. We know that's not gonna, but we want money coming in too.
Hmm.
So what we do is we partner with somebody. I got 40 grand lying around. Here, let's give 40 grand. You start the business. I will check emails in the morning and make sure funds are there. That's what I do. I provide the 40, make sure funds are available. You operate the business and send me a check every month. So then, like if that happened, we had an outside investor, we would be able to start the apron shop, just you and me by ourselves, and we could work, and then we get half the profits,
Hmm.
and we had no money in it, and we went out because we had everything ready. We just had the money to get some of the more expensive equipment we need to start up to get it going quickly. So, we sacrificed our equity, we give out profits, but we put no money into this. It's a pretty good deal for us.
Hmm.
So that's a very common way to do it. And I think it makes sense. And it also could be something where you put in the contract, like we can sell this within a year, or I buy you out within a couple of years. And then that way, if you're working with this investor and you find out you don't like him, you kind of get out of that scenario. So
Yeah.
that's a one way people can do partnerships. Very common in real estate, and it is common in business to have silent partners.
Yeah, I would agree.
So usually, I think it adds up to be a few more. You might have like a group of silent partners in your business venture, and you kind of divvy out whatever. But um, I just think people should know about that one because it is common, and I think it's a great way for people to get started and what they can do.
Yeah.
They don't have to rely on just their paycheck coming in. They can give equity, or I mean, it could even be like just a loan, and you just pay them monthly or
Yeah.
something like that as well.
Yeah.
But gets you going. It kind of has that sense of urgency because you have a loan,
Hmm.
and so that helps out a little bit. And I think that's my other one was the money providers is uh you just get the money. You don't, they're not going to be part of the business, so you have 100% of the profits,
Yeah.
all the decisions. You just have
You
a loan.
alone. Yeah.
You don't have to go to the bank, if they know you. It's maybe Uncle Sal or something like that
Yeah.
who has money. You don't have to go through like background checks, pay loan fees, anything like that.
Yeah. And create your own interest.
Yeah, it's very and like getting like stuff like that is very um easy to negotiate.
Hmm.
You have an amount and you're like, well, here's what this is and here's what this is, but it is better for me. And you could do different payment methods, step up payments where you pay every so often, different amount of years or months, you increase the payments. So loan gets paid faster. But in that sense, you should also be making more money by that time. So then your loan could get paid down quicker. So you have more profit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, partnering with people outside of your family as well.
Yeah.
Now that's
Sometimes even though it's harder sometimes, it can be so much like so rewarding more than partnering with your parents or your family in general.
Because nothing's more awkward than someone asking you for money on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then this way, I mean, you might even have a friend, or you find a business person, a mentor, somebody, in your network
Hmm.
who they're good at other stuff and you're good at something else. And
Hmm.
then like together you're solid. Like
Yeah.
you bring in these skills that are just dynamite. And
Yeah.
then you get half a business doing the work you're good at, not the entire business. Which I think just kind of illustrate what you and I are doing
Mhm.
when we talked about adding you into the real estate and then adding me into uh Benner Stride. And so um adding me into Benner Stride, we were able to kind of divvy up some work to kind of increase the goal and
Mhm.
have it move along faster than what it was doing, and
Yeah.
makes it achieve our goals even more for it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
now you don't have to worry about as much stuff. Like, obviously
Yeah.
you need to worry because we need to have that communication on, here's
Yeah,
what
but
we
I
need to
know
get
what
done.
my lane is versus what your lane is. Like I'm the scheduler, quote unquote.
Yes.
So I kind of keep us in line. Now, do I do it perfectly? No. But do I try to talk to you about it? Yes. So
Hmm.
then we know what each other's pages look like. And of course we're super busy, where we're almost like burnt out, quote on like to the point almost.
Yeah.
But we're still like, okay, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Why the other person does this, this, and this. So then we can avoid being completely burnt out. Where with all the tasks just for one person, it's tough.
Yeah.
It can happen, but having, say, 3 businesses and a full-time job and a side hustle. Like that one person is a freaking Superman
Yeah.
because I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. And if we have the same goals, like we have the same why. We have a plan of where we want to be. We have an idea of that. And so putting ourselves together on this, it's not just like your nightly list is this long and then
Hmm.
mine's this long and I'm sitting there playing games because I'm like, I don't want to be part of your business.
Yeah.
Like, no, we split the list and we're knocking things out quicker.
Yeah. But we also had to go through growing up
Yeah.
to get to that point.
We had to learn it too. So that
Hmm.
was part of the hard way. And we're always like, we don't have a proper partnership agreement, so to speak, but we're always going, we do have one, but
Do we
like,
follow it by strict guidelines? No.
if we did have a partnership and we weren't spouse, we weren't a couple on the same business, it would be something where you could update that,
Hmm.
you know, and you should update it when tasks switch and shifting, somebody's inventory management, and then they get like a software and they went from doing that 15 hours a week to 2 hours a week. It's not like, I mean, you want to keep each other's tasks at about 50-50 if that's the respective like percentages of stuff.
Yeah, but you also have to know what one person is good at. Because, like, for bookkeeping,
Mhm.
I'm not good at that. So I put you in charge.
Yeah.
Do I help? Yes. Is it effective?
Mostly.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's just one of those things where it took off some things on your plate. Yes, you had to go back and review it and fix whatever errors I did,
Hmm.
but it maybe dropped you down 5 minutes there.
Yeah, maybe from like 2 hours to like an hour and 30 minutes or something like that. And that's
Yeah.
adds up.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely very nice working together, visiting these items on what we're good at, what we need to get done. And, like I need to get, I'm bookkeeping, but if I have something I'm behind on, you could shift over into my lane of bookkeeping,
Yeah.
take out a few things, and then shift back to your stuff.
Hmm.
And that goes for me too. If you have something that needs to get done, that's like not usually what I do, but you need it done, I can come over and help.
Yes.
And I think that's the biggest reason why partnerships are very good is because every business has tasks that need to get done.
Mhm.
And partnering up, you can split those tasks,
Mhm.
which means you have more time to grow the business.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have more resources to grow because there's two of you now.
Yes.
So then you can build this momentum in this business up quicker than just by yourself.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing I wanted to talk about with partnerships is just making sure that people know that, like, yeah, especially with working with a significant other, or they have a significant other who's around while they start this business, is that they're going to be affected by it.
Yeah.
And then the spouse needs to be okay with that. Both parties need to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it builds better if both of them are involved.
It may not build better on some circumstances, but I think the relationship at the end of the day is going to be better, especially as a spouse
At least it's
relationship.
communicated too.
Yes.
I think that's what I was trying to get at, is like, if they know the business is here and they know everything that has to be done, then communicate, then like maybe if one's more of like a family caretaker, then they're gonna be like, okay, dinner's ready this time, like you're stuck, like I know you're working 16-hour days, and then I need to make sure that you're good, because then eventually you're not gonna be working 16-hour days. That's when we'll get time together. But in the meantime, what can I do to make your life easier, and work towards that goal together, not putting things in their way that's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're still affected by the business, that in that sense is what I was also trying to make sure people understood, is even if they are not at the business, not doing something for the business, it still affects them because somebody is out, one party is going to be affected by the business, which, for most part, when it comes to marriages and being together in couples, then both parties are affected.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think proper communication and just being on the same page with whoever you're partnering with,
Yeah,
is going to
and
definitely help out.
even if it's not a spouse, it's important. And then also, I do think it's important having a written contract between both parties.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know where you live, so I can.
You get the bat if you need to. Right?
Exactly.
Go for the knee.
So I don't really necessarily write up a contract with you.
But outside of it,
if I did partner with a friend of mine,
yeah,
I would definitely be writing up a contract, even if they're a friend, because stuff
shit happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And like with you, in my will, of course, I'm going to have something saying about my businesses, and something happens to you, my businesses are going to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's technically written down in my will, but as for a spousal agreement, for us, we're okay. Now, say we get divorced, we'll want a contract, and it helps with the legal purposes on how your entity is formed and who it's under.
Yeah.
But still, like, there's a chance where that spouse is still going to come after your business. So it doesn't hurt to have it. Now, we are on a different wavelength sometimes, where we understand, if you come after my business, I'm coming after where it hurts most for you.
Yeah.
But that's the way we're
yeah, definitely.
But it is important to have something written up just in case.
Yeah. And I definitely, between people who aren't spouses too, you should probably have a clause in there on what happens if someone dies.
Yes.
Because that is it could randomly happen. And if it does and there's nothing written, I mean,
yeah, you just want to plan for the worst.
Yeah. And plan for the worst and then hope for the best.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
I think that's a pretty good little partnership conversation there.
Yeah.
Words.
Yeah. Bunch of words
And their definitions.
I guess an R version definition.
Yeah, the broken English definition.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us for this episode. If you want to learn more or reach out to us, we're sometimes on social media. It's at Benner Stride. And same with the website, we're bennerstride.com. And you can see our annoying little pooch over on Instagram too.
Yeah, we usually post pictures of him and his craziness, and he wants his presence known, so he gets it known usually.
Yeah.
Single dog gets his way. Who would have known?
Well, thanks again. Have a great day.